gotta catch the early light. I'm going fishing for a feeling I get when the fish bite. Oh, I gotta say my prayers, roll down the covers, kiss my wife goodnight. I'm going fishing in the morning, gotta catch the early light. Early in the morning, it gets me from my sleep.
Hello everybody, this is Jack Dennis, and I'd like to welcome you back to JD's Wide World of Fly Fishing and Fly Tying. Now, we've taken our summer break so that I could be back in Wyoming to take some of my friends fishing and enjoy, of course, the Jackson Hole 1 fly, which I founded, would you believe, 37 years ago, and this was the 37th year. A year off, of course, for the pandemic, but it was fantastic to see the old friends, and again, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. We put over $10 million into stream restoration over the last 37 years, and we're still doing it. And so I, of course, attended the one fly and then had a chance to fish in Pinedale in Jackson, and then spend the fall in Thermopolis, Wyoming, doing trico fishing. And we're going to be talking a lot about different types of insects, and especially the most frustrating of all mayflies, the trico. But we're going to start off this season. This starts the fall season. Remember, we take the summer break, but we're now ready to bring you some new and exciting footage. Of course, we're going back into some of our historic footage, but today we're going to start our footage on 101 fly fishing tips. Now, I produced this 101 fly fishing tips for Cabela's, and of course, most of you know Cabela's was purchased by Bass Pro, and it never really got into production. But we're going to be featuring pieces of this in our 101 fly fishing section. And today we're going to feature episode 81 on presentation. And I hope you enjoy it. We'll have daily postings, a lot of new fly tying, and a lot of adventure and interviews. So welcome back to our fall season 2022 of JD's Wide World of Fly Fishing. Take it away.
I remember Joel Wolf telling me, he says, "What the heck is this give it a mend stuff?" And I said, "What do you mean, Joe?" And this was 1992. He says, "Yeah, all these people fishing with these bobbers and they're doing all that. Don't they know what that's doing to the fish?" And I said, "Well, can't they just learn to do the mend in their cast?" I said, "No, Joan, they haven't read your book yet. They haven't got your DVD. Yes, you don't do a lot of mending if you do it in your cast." And that gets to the point of what we're talking about in this whole tape. How do you get better? 90% of getting better at fly fishing is get better at presentation, better at casting, and better at how the fly drifts, and the relationship between this tip that's in the rod and the right fly line and the right way it lands on the water, which means a lot of things. Having the right rod for the thing. If you have a 3/8 rod and you're trying to throw a great big hopper in a big wind, you could have the best casting technique in the world and not going to help you. If you put it on a 5/8 into a breeze and have the right leader situation, you're going to make it work. Casting, yes, had a lot to do with it, but it also is what's up in your head. Fly fishing is about what's up here. This is the thinking sport. If you don't want to think, this is the wrong sport for you, because it's going to make you think whether you like it or not. It's a one fish little run. What happens is these big fish come in here and they kind of take over this. Well, now that we're on the fishing adventure, let's get started. We just put in right below the dam on the green, and our 101 tips are going to start on a fishing trip, just as we said when we left the lodge. Right now, I've got to the river, and the first tip that we're going to start out with is observation. Notice that I just had this rod set up, but before I started our trip, I walked around, looked at the fish that I could see there, but I walked along the bank. I took several things into consideration. So our first tip is do your research before you go on a fishing trip. I haven't been to the Green River in 9 years, yet I probably spent 25 years fishing it. But I went to the websites. I found out that there was going to be a lot of blue wing ollies if it was going to be a clear day. I checked some of the guide services out. I went around the internet and just got a kind of an idea about what to expect. Talked to a friend of mine, fished here 2 weeks. He was here to fish streamers for big browns. Didn't do very well. So I kind of brought a little of everything. I'm prepared in case the snow comes with some heavier rods. I've got a light rod. And one thing I've observed while I've been sitting here getting ready for the camera crew to start filming, I watched one fish, and we'll show him to you right now. And I observed without fishing to know the minute I get set up that this fish is taking pseudochlorion. That's a Betas that's size 22 is a large one. 24s and 26s, even 28s will match that hatch. Now, what do you say? What does it mean? What's the tip here? Observation? Well, it gets into our first part, which is equipment. What do you think I picked for a rod if I'm going to use size 22, 24s, and 26s? Head the cast is leave it long enough for a fish to see it and come take it.
Always fish out.
Certainly isn't my 5-weight. I have my little 3-weight St. Croix right here, an 8-foot, 6, let me try that again.
Keep it all in the same spot because you're cutting
Yeah.
it out.
All right. Well, we'll get cutaways first. Okay. What I picked here is my 3-weight, 8.5-foot St. Croix. And I've got a special line. And the tip for you, past the observation, is picking, number one, the right rod for the situation. I've selected the right rod. Why? Based on what the fish are feeding on. In this boat, I've got many different rods. Now I've also selected the right line. If they're on the surface, I'm going to need a floating line. But what I have is a line picked out for this particular area. It's a canyon. There's a lot of high walls, and it's covered, if you can see behind me, by trees that are green. I want my line to blend in, so I've chosen an olive line. In fact, this is a line especially designed for light rods. It's called a Clear Creek line that I developed for Cortland for fishing 25 feet to 30 feet maximum, soft, delicate casts. So this observation has brought a lot of tips for you, and now we're going to start into the next tip, which is setting up a leader. Now, I would venture to say that maybe 50 to 75,000 anglers might fish this river a year. The first thing it's going to tell me is to use a longer leader. Now you might say, why? My tip is to use a longer leader when you're fishing heavily fished areas. Why? It's going to keep your fly line away from where your fly lands. Now, wait a minute, you're going to say, ooh, wait a minute. What's the difference between 9 feet, 8 feet, and 12 feet? Well, a big difference when you're not casting a great distance. You're really only casting a leader and a little bit of line. This line is designed for that. So what I'm going to do is set the leader up especially for a 12 to 16 foot leader. And I may change my mind, but I'll have the basis. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be adding sections to the leader. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to go away from the river, and I'm going to take you back to the room and show you how I set the leader up. It's already set up right now on this rod, but I'm going to show you how to prepare setting up a Spring Creek leader. And it doesn't mean going into a shop and buying a 14-foot leader. It's taking a 9-foot leader and engineering it for the spot. Now that we set up the leader for a Spring Creek, we're getting ready to talk about fishing for these fish that are rising behind me. We've got the right rod, we've got the right line. You might say, okay, wait a minute, are we dressed the right way? Well, you can see I've got kind of a tan-colored Gore-Tex wader. I feel pretty good. The blue shirt, it may be a little too much. It could be a green shirt, well, it might have been a better pick. I did have a bright red hat. But one of the things that's going to happen is I'm going to realize by sitting here and observing that these fish have swam right up to me. They're not too afraid of people. So I'm not going to have to worry about being stealthy except when I start going around the corner. You know what happens on this river around the corner? It starts picking up little pocket water where big browns are in. And I'm going to tell you, browns this time of year after spawning are very, very particular. And so you want to blend in, and I'll take probably my light green rain jacket so that I fit in with this canyon wall, because these fish have seen creatures that throw flies at them and catch them and exercise them. Okay, so now we're going to talk about